And we are back,
God,
ladies and gentlemen. Kristal McKerrington talking with us today about all the good stuff. And you have an interesting subject you want to talk about today, talking about TV and wrestling and all the good stuff. So take the floor
yeah.
once again.
Oh no, we always talk wrestling on this show. If everybody hadn't gathered, me and Ellen Carrington love wrestling. Goes without saying. If you haven't caught on to that, then I do not know where you have been or why you haven't listening.
Oh, well.
But I have been watching the Total Divas since it started.
Uh-huh.
So I pretty much, I haven't made up my mind on it. Like, I know it's scripted, you can tell it's scripted,
Well, yeah.
but I haven't made my mind up. Yeah, I haven't made my mind up on it.
I
It's
mean, you have to
weird.
pretty much live under a rock to know it's not scripted or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, WWE's come out and said it's scripted, so
Yeah, I mean,
that kind of pulls that, doesn't it? Yeah.
of course, not that everybody hasn't figured that out already.
Yeah, you can't figure that out when the creative team is bitching about having to write the show. Um, the rumor that I'm interested about, and I mean this is nothing to do with Total Divas, even though I think it's great that they're showing wrestling in a little bit of a different light. The rumor going around is that this 2014 is going to see the launch of the WWE Network.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, personally, I've been a naysayer for like a year. I've been saying for a year flat. No, it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. I spoke to WWE about TV content back in 2011 because they were looking for content for the network then, and the people that's involved with it, like the ones I've spoken to, have no idea what they're doing. The chain of command for the network is just a disaster zone. So part of me still thinks, like, I think 2014 is going to come. We're going to be sitting at the end of 2014 and going, okay, there's no WWE network. But I think they're feeling the pressure on it because, Vince has been talking about it for a while now. Personally, I mean, I think the idea of WWE doing a network is great because then you can watch all the old wrestling, the Attitude Era, and all the rest of it on there for free, which is great. I think that's a great idea. But at the same time, I don't think they have enough content out with their normal programming to cover it because they've only got one show outside of main event, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, which is House of Legends. To me, I think this is going to be one huge disaster. Like, I really do think it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, kind of like XFL football. You know how long that lasted.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should be focusing on their film department rather than trying to get a network up and running because their film department has been making a loss now for some time.
Yeah.
So, if they're going to, I think they need to be focusing on what they're currently putting out as product and trying to focus on getting their film department to actually make money.
Yeah, because, I mean, there were a couple of good films, but the rest of them had been a train wreck. Now, the people, that's just my opinion, but there you are.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, they did some good stuff. But this last few films they've done, they had to shop them out. I think if they're starting to talk to like serious independent filmmakers, because obviously they're not going to want to go to studios and get studio writers. They don't want to buy films from studios. So have a process, like hire 4 or 5 independent film writers, and do it that way, and put out really good films with completely people that's separate from from TV and all that kind of stuff, and do it that way, and make a profit, or just buy films from independent filmmakers and do it that way.
There you go.
It's just there's so many ways that. And they're just going to keep making a loss on that, studios till they call it quits with it.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to invest
So,
in
and I suppose
something.
the other, I know no one's going to invest in the films because everybody knows that they're making a loss, you know.
Yeah.
So, but then saying that again, like WWE is in a fantastic position right now because if the rumors are true about TNA, you know, it's a double-edged sword because if TNA is going to get sold or it's going to fold, you know, WWE have nothing to worry about because then there's the biggest dogs in the park again, and nobody's going to be even close to challenging them.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't feel for WWE, and I don't feel for the people that work backstage at TNA. I only feel for the wrestlers that have to put up with it. You know, the ones that are trying to make a fucking living on the indies, and they're the ones I feel
Yeah.
for. You know, they need big companies doing television every week in order to make their dreams come true constantly. And there's nobody out there that's going to come up and put their money where their mouth is and challenge WWE right now.
Right. And
Maybe
the thing is with TNA, if they're not on TV or they're not working, they don't get paid. Whereas with the big guys, they can sit in the locker room and count tiles. They're still going to get a check.
Yeah, precisely. And I think it's wrong. But then I get it. You know, TNA's had a lot of losses and they haven't been doing so well. So, I mean, I get why they do that with the guys, but I mean, I hear horror stories constantly coming out of TNA now. And I feel for those guys. Like, but then again, so half the time you don't know what's true and what's not true.
Right.
You know?
I mean, dirt sheets, you don't know what to believe. I'm like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it or whatever. Or if you know the right people, you can ask them.
Even from some of the wrestlers themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even from some of the wrestlers themselves, you don't 100% know if you're getting fed a pile of crap or whether, you know, they're actually telling you the truth sometimes. Well, at least that's just been my kind of feel on it. I will be in the 30th of January when they're supposed to be shooting.
I know they're coming back to
Europe.
Live. I know they're coming back to Europe. I know they're coming back to Europe in May.
Definite census again. Yeah.
And of course, Royal Rumble's going to be in Pittsburgh in January, a month away.
I'm looking forward to the Royal Rumble. I didn't.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a good one.
I'm usually a fan of.
I mean, this is going to be the first PPV at Console Energy Center since it was built. I mean, that's how long it's been since we had a pay-per-view. And this is the first time we had the Royal Rumble, I think, as long as I can remember anyway.
Well, that'd be interesting, you know, to see live. Normally with WWE, we get like the cheap house show in Glasgow. So, you know, they don't come, like when they do come up to Scotland, it's generally house shows, you know. That's what we get. We get the house shows.
Well, you figured it. I think it comes back to cost too. I think it comes back to cost too. I remember the one time, this was maybe like 5 years ago. There was a guy, you know, well, he was a wrestler for them. You know, one of the lower card guys, I think. And of course, he was complaining that they weren't going to allow first class flights anymore to overseas tours. Well, you're making money over there. Why should we sit in economy class? You know, but at least we get to wear a suit and tie and look professional.
Yeah, I heard
and of course,
that too. I heard
for not wearing. And of course, his opinion got him fired. But eventually, he's got it. You know, things worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, I hear so many horror stories. Like, I talk to producers that's left WWE. I actually have a couple of them that's on my Facebook page.
Yeah, me too.
You know, they feed me horror stories.
We're kind of weaving in and out here, folks, so be with us. We're here for a couple seconds. Skype is being a pain today.
I knew there was a 2-second delay.
Yeah. Skype is
I
fun.
always have a 2-second delay, so.
I don't know what my excuse is then.
No, I'm terrible. Like, I have the 2-second delay on Skype, and then mentally I have a 2-second delay.
Oh dear.
So, it's one of those days.
It's kind of like I'm sitting here writing. You're tapping away on your manuscript, and then you go back to look over, make sure everything's hunky dory or whatever. And you look and you see things. Where the heck did that come from? Now I know I wasn't drunk when I wrote that, because I don't drink when I'm writing.
I haven't I haven't drank and written a book. I've written a book in the bath. I've written a book in bed. I've written them pretty much anywhere, but I've never done it drunk. I keep getting told by my friend it's easier, and then it's like, yeah, but my edit is a pain in the ass when I'm sober. Never mind what it would be if I was doing it drunk.
Good. I'll write it drunk, and then you can go back and edit it. Yeah. No, I think so.
I was thinking that myself. Yeah, I was like,
and you edit it, and then the publisher edits it, and by the time it gets on the market, did I really write this?
But what I will do is, once we get off our interview, I will send the links to Joe's recent pictures so you can have a laugh.
Oh, cool.
You'll love them. You will absolutely love them.
Oh, cool. Pop them to me on Facebook.
See? I'm not very good with American geography, so please, everybody, forgive me on this. But is Detroit in Illinois near you, or is it quite far away?
Detroit's up in Michigan, so it's a little further north. Actually, it's Midwest.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It's a little further north. I have to look up and see what an actual drive it is, or how long it takes for a flight.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take too long. Now, Philadelphia, that's right up the turnpike. I mean, I can be there in no time. It seems that way anyhow.
You should go December 28th, Stevie Ray. I was thinking, I know there's a pay-per-view coming up for Pro Resistance Wrestling, or Resistance Pro, I think it is. They're the Billy Corrigan wrestling faction.
Oh, okay.
Which has I know the writer that works for them.
Mm-hmm.
They are actually really. You can watch them.
I think there might be another show in my area too around that weekend.
Their stuff online. They're actually out of Illinois. They actually run their shows in Illinois.
Oh, cool. I think just about every state has their, little independent faction. So yeah, you have a nice variety.
Yeah, it's weird because for Scotland, there's only 2 independent companies. Well, 3 independent companies that's here. There's ICW, which is Insane Championship Wrestling. There's Lionhearts Wrestling Company in Ayr, which I can never remember the name of. And then there's British Championship Wrestling, or Premium British Championship Wrestling, which is run out of Glasgow. And ICW is run in Glasgow and Edinburgh. So we only have 3 companies, but they just hire the local wrestlers. You don't always get the Americans in there. Well, we had Rhino this year at ICW, but I never made that one because I think I was at the hospital.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, it does. I haven't seen Rhino since 2011.
That's a few years there.
Yeah, oh god, last time we saw each other, he was sitting across from me in a bar eating a kebab. And I was drinking coffee. And I was sitting there thinking he's going to get food poisoning off that kebab.
Oh god.
Yes, I've not seen him in so long. Sometimes Kid Cash comes to the UK, he goes to Plymouth. But that's that's like so far away from us, it's ridiculous. So I never get to see him at all. But Joe's going to be at PCW in March. So that's like the first time he's going to be in Scotland for years. So that'll be kind of cool.
That'll be awesome. Keep my fingers crossed nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, the only Americans that's been here has been like old TNA guys. So we've had like Magnus, Douglas Williams. Those two have been the major ones we've had.
Well,
Here.
Those guys have a little more liberties. They can go to other places, whereas the big timers, they're pretty well stuck there until they're released or whatever.
Yeah. Let's think. The other one that comes over is like Mickie James.
Oh man, she's everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know if she's been released or not.
I don't know. I don't know what's with her, but yeah. But I know she's gone to a lot of places.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's like I think that's the first Americans that I know. Well, Joe's not American, bless his socks. He's from Germany at the moment, but those are like the first international ones that have piqued my interest for a while. Like I don't know. I could say I'm a bit snobby. Like Kevin Nash was here with Scott Hall and X-Pac, and I had no interest in going and seeing them because they weren't wrestling; they were just doing Q&As.
Well, a couple of those guys are getting up there in years, and injuries catch up with you, and some guys just stay retired.
Yeah, I seen Kevin wrestle live in 2011.
Hey, I know. Hey, one guy I know, he retired in his 30s.
Yeah, I thought Kevin would have been retired by now. To be fair.
Yeah.
Like I seen him.
We're on delay again,
kind of
folks.
Befriended a couple of the guys.
Yeah, that's why I like them. That's what I like. Going to the shows is fun, but I like to tell people it's the fun. It's afterward you really have fun.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about me was I was iffy about staying in the hotel with the wrestlers because I was down there for to be interviewed about writing for the company, and I was iffy about staying in the hotel with the wrestlers because I thought, oh, that's going to ruin it for me entirely. But I actually ended up making friends with 2 or 3 of them, and I was just like, no, actually, this is far cooler than what I thought it was going to be. And I then supported these guys more because I had a connection with them, and I felt, all right, okay, they're not jackasses, so I'm going to support the ones that aren't jackasses, and all those ones that are acting like jackasses, I'm just not going to talk to you.
Yeah, but you know what I found too? I found too that if you because a lot of girls, they go in and jump on them, and they just drive them completely nuts. It doesn't matter if they're on the phone, they're eating or whatever. But I found if I keep my distance, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to stay over here and sit for about half an hour, have my drink or BS with the person beside me, whatever. I found that they've been more receptive to me when I acted like that than if I just jumped on the minute they walked in the door. I don't know about how you experienced that, but that's my experience.
Well, I mean, because I'd been out the night before in Liverpool. But yeah, I came into the hotel. I was sitting there. I was having a coffee with my friend who was down there for her graduation present. She was also managing, keeping an eye on me and stuff like that. And funny, I mean, the first time I met Cash was he was getting hit on by these 2 bartenders, and he's just asking them for food. And I went up, and he said what he was saying. I just went in and said, look, he just wants an apple and some freaking water, and he wants to, book his dinner for tonight. I know the restaurant's not open before the show, so, can you organize for him to eat later on in the afternoon? He was so grateful that I come in and I rescued him, that, we spoke about hanging out later on that night. Road Dogg, I kind of kept my distance from him. He was there. Billy Gunn actually make the show. He got deported at the airport.
Oh, God.
Which it was kind of funny because we were all sitting around hearing Road Dogg tell us why he got deported. But no, he was a guy that couldn't take overly excited people. He liked his own private space, to be left alone. He wasn't interested in having somebody in his face. I think I had 2 conversations with him, total. We had a laugh, we had a joke. There's a picture of me and him and Rhino sitting at a table at the second show, where they had some interesting nicknames for me. Yeah, because we were all having a laugh and talking about adventures of past, and one of my friends decided to nominate one of my more interesting stories, which the boys thought was absolutely hilariously funny. I went there just to do the whole kind of meet the promoter and sign on and all that kind of stuff, and I just never expected them to be two in the entire roster of the British wrestlers that I ended up liking, because they were really nice to me. The others were just asses.
Well, you're going to get at least one as a dickhead.
I felt far more. Yeah. I mean, I watched the fan. There was this one girl that
I know at least a few. I know
at
least a few American ones that are total dickheads. It's part of my language, but I'm not going to name them because I don't do that. That's not cool.
No.
I mean, I figure, guys, if other people beat them, they're dickheads. They're going to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, of course. I always think it's funny to me because the people that you hear about being the biggest jackasses actually turn out to be the nicest people.
Right, it's just how you approach them.
And then those that you hear, and I mean, those that you hear are the biggest, nicest guys going, turn out to be the biggest jackasses.
And
so
it's so funny because I'm gonna go on the message board and they're like, well, so and so, he's a total dick, and I met him, he was a total ass. I'm sitting there, I never had a problem with him, I'm like, I don't think I ever had any, well, maybe one or two, but I just chalked that off to experience and walked on, but most of the guys, they were nice. I think it was all in the way I approached them.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was funny. I came back from 2011 show and I watched this social media just blow up with people, this one girl, I think she'd gone down there to sleep with a wrestler. I think that was her entire plan.
Ring rat.
And yeah, she was. She was definitely a ring rat. I mean, I felt sorry for the two that she decided to cling herself to. And I mean, it was like that. I was just, I think I said to one of the wrestlers that was getting harassed the most, I'm like, look, if you want to sit with me, she's not going to come near you. Because she knows that I'll say something to her.
Uh-huh.
So that's why he ended up sitting with me for the whole night, because he couldn't be bothered with her. And I think they were far more perceptive of me because I had no interest in that whatsoever. And I'm still very much like that. I had the wrestler get all huffy in my face because I literally told him, look, I'm not interested in you in any shape or form.
Uh-huh.
So, back off. And as soon as I said that to him, he got all huffy and I was just like, oh, you could tell who had been in the ring for 30 years and you could tell who'd been in the ring for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just, I didn't feel comfortable with the British wrestlers at all. I just didn't. So when the Americans kind of took me in under their wing and they actually bothered to get to know me, I felt far safer and far more comfortable than what I would have felt if it had just been the British wrestlers. Saying that, I've been working on trying to get wrestlers into writing books and stuff, and I got told so many horror stories about Joe. And then I started talking to him, I started working with him, and it turned out everything I heard about him was crap. It wasn't true. And it was the same, like, I was talking to this other wrestler, he had the worst reputation ever, like, oh, he'll screw you over and all this kind of stuff. 5 minutes with him, and he was the nicest guy I'd talked to in fucking weeks.
Right, I've even mentioned his name to a few people. Oh, yeah, Joe seems really like a cool guy, And the one time we had
Yeah,
him here on the show, he was just amazing.
oh, he is, and he's so good with media and stuff like that. I mean, he did a media tour in England this year for me, and he was just so relaxed and so into it. But before we got working together, I had one person from the actual wrestling community say to me, "Oh, you have to be careful around him because he feels people up and he's very touchy-feely." So I went in with like a nervous kind of viewpoint on him, and plus people winding me up saying, "Yeah, he'll just chuck your idea out if you try and hard sell him," and so I was really nervous by talking to him, and then I realized, actually Joe's probably one of the nicest people around. Like he helps me with more stuff than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they don't realize about Joe. Joe's actually one of the nicest guys that I've met wrestling. No bullshit with him either, which is completely shocking. Most wrestlers that I've talked to have a certain level of bullshit that they keep with people at all times.
Uh-huh.
Like, they will lie about some things. He doesn't. And there isn't a nicer person than that, I don't think. It's maybe why I got him to write my autobiography.
Hey, you couldn't have made a better choice. We got only about a few minutes left, so I want to take the time to thank you for coming back on the show again. Hopefully we'll be chatting some more in 2014. And for everyone else out there, I want to thank you for tuning in today and listening. We'll be back next Wednesday. It's going to be the big release show for the Maryland Diaries, my latest book. A couple readings out of there. We're also going to try to have an instant message and call-in show. I'll be putting some more details about that up on the Facebook page within the coming week. In the meanwhile, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. See you next week. Have a great weekend. Take care, everyone, and don't drink and drive. Bye-bye.